Hi friends! Today I'm doing another video in the series that I've been doing here on my channel where I have somebody pick out the makeup that I will be using for my full face. Today my choices were from my little brother. So I've done my boyfriend, my sister, and today is my little brother's day. So he chose out of a list that I had given him, out of all the products that I own, whatever he wanted to see me use, and so that's what we are going to be doing today. So I'm just going to start by putting my headband in so my hair is not in my face. And then the first product that we're going to start out with, he chose for primer, is the Tatcha Silk Canvas. I have this little mini size here. This is an interesting kind of a consistency of primer. It is kind of like a moussey cream, so I just take a little bit and kind of warm it up between my fingers, and then I start in the T-zone, just kind of pressing it in, and then anything that's like left over I kind of swipe across the rest of my face. A little bit of this goes a fairly long way. Alright. So the foundation that he chose for me is my one of my favorite foundations, and it's been one of my favorites for a really long time. It's the Too Faced Born This Way. I wear the color Swan. I use about a half a pump to a pump of this. I used to use this on an everyday basis until I got a tinted moisturizer, and I kind of started gravitating more towards that for an everyday kind of a look. But this foundation's nice because you can wear it as like a light to medium, or you can kind of build it up to be a little bit more full coverage. So it's kind of versatile, which I do really like. And then with this, I like to really kind of do pressing motions into my skin, and then if I feel like it needs to be, kind of buff it out, and then from there. Alright, so that was about a half a pump. I'm going to take a little bit more and just go over the areas that I feel like need a little bit of extra coverage. Okay, so the next thing that we are doing is going in with concealer, like always, and he picked the Revolution Conceal and Hydrate concealer. This is the shade C1, so this is a fairly light shade. So I typically only use it for like under my eyes and in the center of my face, but he only chose one concealer, so we will be covering blemishes with that as well. I really like this concealer too. It's a really nice combination with this foundation. I actually wear it, like these two together, quite often. Okay, so just going back in with my foundation brush and just pressing everything in just to make sure it's nice and blended. I will say the one thing about this concealer is that it creases fairly easily. So you do have to make sure it's like really blended in, and then I always like to tap out the creases before under my eyes before I go in with powder and everything too. Okay, so he did the same thing that my sister did, and they chose all cream products and all powder products, so we'll be using both. So the cream contour that he chose is the Wet n Wild contour stick in the shade Oaks on You. This one is a little bit of a warmer tone shade, so I typically will use it more as a bronzer, and I use it just very sparingly. Alright, and then I like to blend it out with a just Duo Fiber brush. And then I take whatever is left over and just on the nose, because again it's really warm, so I don't like to have too much warmth in the center of my face, but I still like to kind of sculpt and shape my nose just a little bit. Right. And for blush, he picked out the NARS liquid blush in the shade Orgasm, which is a cult classic color. So little of this goes such a long way, so I literally will just use the tiniest dot. And as you can see, it's very like runny and liquidy, almost like serum-like. Then I just dot just a little bit of it on my cheeks. And then take that Duo Fiber brush again, wherever it went, and just buff in circular motions across the cheeks. I have a little bit still here on the back of my hand, and I'm kind of just picking up as I need. These are really nice too because you can kind of layer them over powder as well, and they don't get like weird and patchy or gloopy or anything. And they last a really long time for a liquid formula. Alright, so you can see just a little tiny bit is definitely nice and pigmented. If you tend to kind of go overboard with these, you could just take your foundation brush and just kind of tap over them, and they will kind of blend themselves out a little bit more. And then where did it go? There it is. For cream highlighter, he chose the Tarteist Pro Glow in the shade Exposed. So this is more of a liquid highlight. Same thing, I like to just put a little bit of it on the back of my hand. And then I warm it up with my finger, so as you can see it's a nice and intense pigment. And then I just like to dot it on the high points of my cheeks, and then I use the finger, my finger, to blend these out. I find that the warmth just really helps work this into my skin better than a brush would or a sponge. I really like this for like the summertime because it's nice and it gives you a nice like reflectiveness, but because it's a cream it looks nice and natural. And the shade is a little bit dark for me like in the winter time, so it does work a little bit better in the summer. Alright, and as you can see that little dot was too much, so I'm just going to wipe the rest off of my hand here. So for face powder, he also chose the Maybelline Fit Me, like my sister, which I'm glad because this is my favorite face powder that I own. So just taking my fluffy brush and then looking up, tapping out the creases under my eye with my ring finger, and then closing my eyes and tapping out the creases on my eyelid with my ring finger as well. Alright. So next, I'm gonna do all of the powder products, and then we will do the eyebrows and the eyes and everything. So for bronzer, he chose, I have the Fenty Beauty Killawatt highlighter in a shade that's too dark for me, and I really like using this actually as a bronzing topper. So super pretty. These are the shades Afternoon Snack and Mo Honey. So I like to take this one here, Afternoon Snack. It's a little less shimmery, a little bit more natural. I guess not shimmery, but like glittery, so it's not quite as intense. And we're gonna take the Duo Fiber brush today. I like something a little bit fluffier with this because it is a highlighter, so it can be really intense. But if you just use just a little bit of product, especially I think because we already have used that cream one, it's just really nice as a like shimmery topper. So just I'm gonna place down the product where I want it, and then we will kind of blend it out here in a second. I went a little bit overboard over here, so I'm gonna just blend that out with the powder brush just to make sure it's not too intense. But as you can see, because it is a highlighter, it gives just such a nice like glow and shimmer, which I love to be glowy and shimmery, so it's perfect. And then for blush, he chose the blush that actually matches the liquid one that we use. So this is again the NARS Orgasm blush, but just the powder formula. So same kind of a look. It's that like pinky peach with like a gold shimmer. This is just a travel sized one that I have, just a little baby sample. And then I take my nice fluffy brush, just dip into it, and then just press it into the cheeks. Because this is shimmery, we don't want to go too overboard. We're gonna be glowing like crazy. Everything that he picked is very glittery. Right, and then again, taking the powder brush and just kind of going over everything to make sure it's not too intense. I think we're good. All right. And then for powder highlighter, we're also using the Fenty Beauty Killawatt highlighter, but this one is actually my highlight shade. This is Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. As you can see, I use this all the time. It is gorgeous. So we are going to go for a little bit more of an intense highlight just because we are feeling really glowy and dewy right now. So I'm going to take my little tapered highlighter brush, and we're going to start first with Lightning Dust, which is the more like natural shade. I use this all the time as like an everyday highlight, which is why it's really dipped into so much. So we're just gonna go ahead and apply that. All right, and then we are going to dip into just a little bit of Fire Crystal, which is the super shimmery shade. So here, let's swatch them so you can see the difference. So this one here is the first one we went in with. So as you can see, it's just more, see if we can get the light to kind of pick up on it. it is more glossy. There we go. And this one here is Fire Crystal, which is more of an intense highlight. So this one just looks more like your skin is kind of wet, which is a look that I really enjoy. So, oh, the sun is coming out. Ooh. There we go, sorry. So we're gonna dip just a little tiny bit into that more glittery shade, and we're gonna focus that really on just the tip of our cheekbone here, and then we'll kind of blend it backwards. And as you can see, that is much more intense now. Same on the other side here. Okay, and then I skipped my nose highlight because I like to just take that super reflective shade by itself and just, especially on the tip of my nose here, so that it is nice and bright. And then same with the Cupid's bow. Alright, and then I will take a little bit more of that more natural shade just for the bridge of my nose. Just because we don't want it to be too glittery like all over our entire face. So, and then I like to just kind of tap that in a little bit with my finger just to make sure that it is nice and blended. Okay. Moving on to brows, if I can find where I put my pencil. So he also chose the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyebrow pencil, and again I have the shade medium brown. So we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do my brows really quick, and then I will jump back in because my brow routine is the same anytime I use a pencil. So if you want to see it, you can click on one of my other videos. Okay, so the brows are filled in, and then for brow gel, he chose the ColourPop Brow Boss Gel, which is one of my favorite brow gels. And then I just like to just lightly make sure there's not enough, like too much product on it. Otherwise you can get like clumpy pieces of brow gel on your brows. But then I just like to lightly just kind of brush upwards to give them a little bit more volume, and then just kind of make sure everything is set in place, because I don't like the like really super feathery look of having my brows and like my brow hairs stick straight up. My eyebrows just grow way too long, way too fast to do that. I know a lot of people really like that like super feathery look, but I feel like it makes me look a bit like Wolverine, and that's not the look we're going for. Okay, so eyebrows are finished. For eyeshadow, he chose the Sweet Peach palette by Too Faced, which I haven't used in a while. This was my go-to eyeshadow palette for a long time, especially like the shade, I loved the shade Georgia here. Sorry, blinding you guys. And then the shade Luscious, the shimmer. Those were like my favorite shades. He also chose a colored eyeliner and an eyeshadow topper, so trying to think of kind of what we're gonna do here. I think I'm just gonna go in with a fluffy brush and then start with Georgia, which is that kind of more peach shade there, and then use that as a transition shade just really lightly. This doesn't have a ton of pigment to it, but that's why I like it. It's just a nice like neutral peach shade, just so that everything blends together nicely and kind of has somewhere to blend into. Alright, so nice neutral transition shade. And then we're going to take a slightly more dense brush and we're going to go in with Puree, which is this kind of more neutral, warm brown shade here. And then that's going to be our crease color. So I'm just placing the shade down and then I will blend it out with that big fluffy brush here in a second. So as I did yesterday when I was filming my video for the makeup that my sister chose, I'm going to talk a little bit about my little brother while I'm doing my eyeshadow. My little brother he's the third out of all four of us, so he is 8 years younger than me, and we do have one brother in between us as well. But he is 18, he is a freshman this year in college, and he is a fashion major. And he's always loved like fashion and clothing, and like for as long as I can remember when we were kids. We're gonna take that same brush that's a little bit more dense, and we're gonna go in with the shade Charmed, I'm sure, which is this darker brown in the corner. And just deepen up the crease again a little bit more. He's also incredibly musically talented. He plays like a ridiculous amount of instruments. But he played mostly trumpet in band when he was in high school. He also is in an a cappella group on campus, which is super cool, and they're one of like the, he went to the same school that I went to, and they're one of the most, or goes to, I suppose, one of the most talented groups on campus, in my opinion. So super cool that he actually got into that group. Most of those kids are like music majors or music theater majors, and so it's kind of cool that he got in and isn't a music major. We are going to take the shade Delectable, which is this purpley shade here. I'm just going to take this flat shader brush, and I'm just going to kind of pack this a little bit on the outer corners to deepen everything up, and then we'll go back in and blend it out. My little brother is also basically my clone as well. He looks just like me. If we like face swap on Snapchat, he basically just ends up looking like a Disney princess version of me, because our facial structures are just super similar. It's essentially like my little clone. When I lived at home, he was like my best friend. We did everything together. Okay, I'm just gonna go back and clean up the outer edges there because it's getting a little messy. I'm so messy when I do my eyeshadow. Okay, I'm just going to take that fluffy brush again and then kind of blend back through. I'm going to actually mix two of these shades here, the Peach Pit shade and the Bellini shade, so it's going to be like kind of a pinky purple, I think. That's what it'll end up being. Yeah. We're going to put that, just kind of tap it on the lid so it's a little bit darker of a shade. I'm going to take this smaller detailed brush that I have, and I'm going to dip into this bottom dark shade called Talk Derby to me. It's kind of a like deep bluish, blackish purple. I don't know, it's really hard to explain. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that to the outer corner and then drag it up a little bit into the crease. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, but I don't find that the shimmer really shows up that much. I mean, a little bit, but kind of going for a little bit sparklier. So I'm just gonna blend that all together again. And then I might take some more of that first shade that we used Georgia, just to make sure everything's nice and seamless. I do really like this palette, but I have always found that it doesn't blend as well as some of my other eyeshadows. I don't know, Too Faced shadows are really hit or miss for me. Like, I really like a lot of their shimmers, but their mattes just don't blend as well as some of my other like favorite palettes. Alright, just cleaning up that edge again. And then I'm just gonna go over, especially this inner corner. Got a little bit messy. I like to take sometimes, I don't know if I get too messy, my concealer brush and just kind of go over the inner corners so that it doesn't look like I have like a really dark like shadow in there. Just cleaning up under my eyebrow as well. Okay, for my lower lash line, where's my pencil brush? There it is. I'm going to start with that Georgia shade and just take it all the way across the lower lash line. Again, it doesn't really show up as a ton of color, but I like just having that shade just to kind of blend with and make sure that everything looks nice and like seamless. And then I'm gonna take that brown shade and just run that a little bit along the lower lash line as well, and then just a little bit of that last darkest shade that we took, the Talk Derby to Me, just on the outer corner there. Alright. I'm gonna take the shade Luscious, which is this really pretty, just metallic color, and just tap a little bit more of that on top of the lid. And then use my finger just to kind of blend it in. Really pretty like peachy champagne color. He also chose the just blend it a little bit more. Just realized there was a harsh line there. He also chose the Laura Mercier Caviar stick in, what is this color? Rose Gold. And I love these. I love these especially for like everyday, but it is just a nice like creamy rose gold color. Swatch it next to the shade here that I have, the shimmer shade. So you can see they're kind of similar. The rose gold Laura Mercier one is a little bit lighter. So we are going to just tap that here a little bit on the inner corner. And mostly just that like inner part of the lid. And I'm just taking a little bit like from directly the stick onto my finger. So again, you can see that they're super similar, but it's just a little bit later, I think, and kind of brightens up this area even a little bit more. Alright, and then taking the eyeliner that he picked for me, which is the Lancome Drama Liquid Pencil, and this is their purple shade. I'm just going to put this in my waterline. I may need to warm it up on the back of my hand first. I do find these pencils are incredibly creamy, so they sometimes will kind of wear away in the waterline. So I will take them kind of a little bit on the lower lash line directly as well, but we'll do that with a brush here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to take another flat shader brush, just like I did with the look that my sister came up with, and I have taken some of it on the back of my hand. I'm just going to take that directly onto the brush and just smudge this really close to my, especially in the outer corner, like my lower lashes. just to make it a little bit more purple. Alright, so nice pop of color there, just a little bit of purple. Okay, so then I'm going to take my just spoolie here. I'm gonna brush through my lashes because this liner sometimes will like get into my lashes while I'm like smudging it there on the lower lash line. Okay. I'm gonna do lips first, and then I will do the lashes mascara last. So for the lips, he picked out a lip liner, a lipstick, and a gloss. So the lip liner that he chose is the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in Aquarius, which is fitting because he is an Aquarius, and this is also one of my favorite lip liners. I'm just going to rub in any more of that chapstick that I have, just to make sure it's not like interfering with the lippy pencil. So I'm gonna outline my lips with this, and then I'm gonna take my finger and just smudge it so that it is all on my lips here too. Just kind of tapping and pressing that in. And then the lipstick that he chose is one of the ColourPop Ultra Blotted Lips from the Sailor Moon collection, and this is this shade Usagi, which is Sailor Moon's actual name in the anime series. So it's kind of like a nice, like bright pink color. But because it's an ultra blotted lip, this formula really goes on really sheer. And it's like you've taken a lipstick and then like blotted it down already, which I really like. And it's really comfortable to wear too. I also love these Sailor Moon lippies. I have all 4 of them that came in the collection. And then this one is Usagi. I have Bunhead is the other one that's like this. It's another ultra blotted lip, and then the lip glosses, and which we're going to use one of right now, which is Sailor Moon, the Sailor Moon lip gloss. And this is one of my favorite lip glosses. So I'm going to just take some of this on the back of my hand here, just because I don't like, again, mixing the colors and everything. I want to make sure that the glosses stays like true to color. And then I'm going to just take my finger and just kind of pat it in. I'm actually kind of surprised that I liked that lip liner with the blotted lip. It's just an interesting combination. Like, I didn't think that they would go together well, but it's cute. Like, it kind of makes the ultra blotted lip a little bit more like muted, I guess. But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna spray my face with the Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist, my favorite setting spray. And then taking my little card that I have here, just fanning it out. I'm going to take just a little bit of my highlighter on my nose highlight brush, and then I'm going to take the super shimmery shade and pop just a little bit of that into the inner corner here. And then I'd like always to do this little swoopy thing here. I think it just opens everything up nicely and kind of blends that into the other shimmer shades. Last up, he chose for my mascara, my favorite mascara, the Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. So he chose a lot of my favorite products here. I just haven't really necessarily used all of these like in this combination. I love this mascara because it stays put all day. I never have any problems with it like smudging or flaking. And it's also nice and versatile. You can make it look a little bit more natural for those like natural makeup days, or you can really like layer it up and amp it up to make it look more, make your lashes look more dramatic. Okay, with the lashes done, this is the final look here. So a little bit of a almost smoky eye kind of situation, a kind of brighter pink lip than I would have probably normally paired with this, just because of all of the purple that's kind of going on, but I like it overall. Just some thoughts on combinations of products and stuff. I don't normally do like a cream and a liquid, so sometimes that does make my skin feel a little bit heavy, but it doesn't look bad. Like, I'm just incredibly glowy right now. But other than that, yeah, I like the combination of the primer and the foundation together too. They look nice. And I like the lip combination. The lip combination is nice, which I suppose like the Ultra Blotted and the lip gloss were kind of meant to go together, because they came in the same like set. But overall, everything looks nice. I really like using this highlighter as a bronzer topper. I need to do this more often because I just like don't ever get enough use out of it because it is so deep. But I really like it as like a bronzer topper or like an eyeshadow. They're just really nice colors. So just nice and shimmery, yeah. But that, I guess, is all I have for today. Thank you for stopping by again to watch my video, and don't forget to, if you like watching my videos, like, subscribe to my channel, and also leave a comment for me. So without further ado, I will see you next time. Bye!